Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are on their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are birth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.
We are live. Thank you for tuning in. Let me help you, a loved one or friend, find your vegan soul through food, people, events, and culture. Now, what if I said to you, you don't need a coach? Just coach your damn self. My guest today, Natisha Willis, known to many as Coach Tish, is a certified executive coach and founder of the hashtag Coach Your Damn Self movement, a bold call for high-achieving Black women to reclaim their power, rewrite the rules, and create lives that actually feel good to live. Welcome, Coach T. What's going on, lady? What's going on? We got a lot of catching up to do. Let me I gotta give you your proper applause here. Everyone, meet Coach T.
Thank you. Look, I got a little clapper over here too.
look, it's long overdue, man, because you know what? I want to take it way back first before we get into the Coach damn self. Yes. Like, I want to take it way back to when you worked at the Landed Kush. Like, what year was even that? Like, you worked at the Landed Kush for a little while, and then I recall you telling me you wanted to get into marketing. Absolutely. And then you left, and then all of a sudden I see some Coach Damn moving you in Mexico. Like, what happened? Let's speak on that. What? Talk to us. What's up?
Naijha, that's been so many lifetimes ago. Let me just first say, I bought some kale yesterday to make that kale salad. I made that kale dressing last week, but I mean, that's been more than 10 years, maybe 12 years.
Yeah,
maybe even 14 years. It might be 14 years.
Yeah, we got a lot of cats. We're doing 15 years. We're now 15 years. So, on the show.
Yeah. So, Landed Kush was, I think such an important part of my development and my story, because while I was there, so I worked at Landed Kush. I came to Landed Kush after dropping out of my PhD program.
Wait a minute. Okay. No, you dropped. Okay, now you can't just say you dropped out and then go on. What? Talk to us about what PhD program?
So I'm originally from Chicago. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and I moved to Baltimore to pursue a PhD in higher ed at Morgan State. And nothing against Morgan, but what I realized was a PhD was trying to change or teach me how to think, and I liked how I thought. And so my perspective was, let me do something different. Let me do something different, right? So I was pursuing a PhD in higher ed administration. My ego had gotten to the place where had encouraged me to, be Dr. Willis. And so, I'm one of those people who, whatever it is, I go after whatever it is that I want. And so I was pursuing this PhD, and my intention was to be a college president. And I didn't want it bad enough. I didn't want it enough to lose myself. I didn't want it enough to become what was required in order to achieve that goal, right? I wanted to be free. And more than freedom, there were other things that I wanted out of life. And so I started pursuing those things. I dropped out the PhD program. I was working for a nonprofit part-time. And I recalled a goal and a dream I had of going to massage school. And so that's what I did. I went to massage school, dropped out of the PhD program, went to massage school. And, I love the land of Kush. And so I figured I don't cook, or at that time, I did not cook. I didn't know how to cook. And I just wanted to go all in on being a part of the community. And so I figured, well, here's a way for me to eat, get some of the money back that I didn't spend at Land of Kush, and be active and involved in the community. Everybody came through and still do, I'm assuming, I imagine, still come through Land of Kush. And so, that's what happened. And so when we met, yes, my intention, I've always loved marketing. I was telling folks about Land of Kush before I started working there, because I just thought the food was freaking amazing. And not just the food, but the people, the energy in the space. I loved you and Greg. It was just, marketing for me is a way for people to know about something good that's going on. Right. And so I saw marketing, massage, wellness overall as all of the same thing. Right. I know a lot of people see those as something separate, but my intention has always been, how do we help people, especially people of color, especially Black folks, choose something that's actually good for them? Right. Not good for the moment, but long term, something that is good for them, mind, body, and spirit. And so from my perspective, massage and marketing were the same thing.
Wow.
Right. Because marketing for me has always been telling people about something good, not marketing. Typically we think of marketing as, oh, you're just trying to sell something. But my intention has always been about, but how do I get you to do something that's good for you?
Right. So, right. I love that. I love that. And you always have this bubbly energy. And even now, and as I was looking at your Instagram, scrolling through the Instagram, because your dad just passed. My condolences. I am sorry for your loss. And I know I wouldn't have done this show had my dad passed when I was 7, but I would have been like, you know what? I can't even talk to nobody right now. Talk to us about that. Your father just passed.
Yeah. So he passed about 2 weeks ago. And it's funny. This is the work that I do now, is really around helping people to build the capacity to hold space emotionally for difficult things. Right. The part of the reason that I agreed to come on is because talking to you is nourishing and replenishing for me. Right.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So this isn't something that feels depleting. It doesn't feel like something that's taking from me. Right. There are absolutely people who I'm like, can't do it. Ain't got time.
Right. That. Like, you're getting applause for that.
It's absolutely not it's absolutely not a free-for-all, right? Like, absolutely, I'm in a space of there is grief present. But I think the really cool thing about my father is, it's funny because I relaunched my podcast on May 15th. My father passed on May 17th. Right. And the cool thing about this experience, what it is teaching me is get very clearly who is on my side and who is just trying to take from me. Ooh. It is crystal clear, right? Ooh. Like, who is supportive and who is extractive. So that's right. Number one. Number two, it's also really making it clear to me that the work that I do to help other people have more energy to regulate their emotions, like, it works. One of the things that I've been doing since I came back, since I got back home from his services, and back home, being back to Mexico, is really just paying attention to the things that I've learned over the years in terms of how do I pour back into myself, right? How do I not just coach myself from a psychological perspective, but what does that look like for my body, right? Because that's, like I said, I went to massage school 12, 14 years ago. So I studied anatomy and physiology. So I knew what's happening internally. But over the past 14, 15 years, one of the things that I've studied is how do we treat this physical body that we can see so that we can have an impact on the parts of the body we can't see, right? Like that physiology. How do I make it so that I'm still able to get up in the mornings? What can I do, right, to engage myself holistically? So yes, like I said, mind, but also body, and then make sure that my soul feels fed at the same time. And so, as I've been grieving, I've been implementing a lot of those things, right? Spiritual baths and making sure that I'm only talking to people I want to talk to.
Right.
Right.
This is you coming to me at the time when it's needed, because I've had a hard three years, I would say. A lot of years have been hard. Life is just hard,
Yeah.
but it's not a coincidence, because
Yeah.
you talk in this whole connection and the overdue of coming on. No, you're coming on at the right time, because this is nourishing for me to talk to you, because I never got to really connect with you in the movement. I saw the emails and I'm like, yo, I want to be down with it, but lots of things are going on at that time.
Yeah.
And I just went through a whole period of what you're talking about. How am I nourishing myself, because I'm pouring into everyone else, and now I'm depleted and I demotivated and don't want to do anything.
Listen, and that's what women, Black women especially, that's what we are taught to do. That's what we're rewarded for doing and celebrated for doing. I heard Iyanla some years ago say to Oprah that, when you are imagine a cup, right? You're drinking some tea. What's in the cup is supposed to be for you. What flows out of the cup onto the saucer, that's what you're supposed to give to other people. And so I have gotten really crystal clear on what it is that I need in order to fill my own cup, right? And so, and I'm experimenting some too, right? But I also, like, there was a time, like today is a good day, right? But there were days that I'm like, ooh, I feel bristly, right? Like I could feel it. I could feel
that wording, bristly.
Thinking like a porcupine. Like I just feel like my feathers are ruffled, and ain't nothing nobody can do about it. We just gonna have to be here, right? Today's a better day, but I have to be honest about where I am. And when I'm feeling bristly, I'm not taking no calls on those days.
Right. I'm being a no person now. So I get what you like. Everything was yes, and then that's how you get, exploited, manipulated, used, abused, and you nice and everything, and then you become nicey, and then now you become nasty, and it's like that's. So I hear you when you're saying this. Talk about first of all, let's talk about the Mexico residency. Now, I've been there a couple of times through cruise over the past couple of years, and I said, hey, I really got to spend more time out here. Why do you have this? But can you tell me why? Because they're scared of the United States, going abroad. I was in Kenya last year. They'll scare us to death about going international or being international. Talk about your experience being a resident officially in Mexico.
Yeah, residente permanente. So I'm a permanent resident.
I love it.
I came to Mexico 8 years ago. 2018, I moved to Mexico. And at the time, I just gotten laid off from my job. And I came with the intention of being in a space where the cost of living was low. I just wanted to be in a place. Since my very first time having a passport and using it, my intention has always been to live outside the U.S. So that's about almost 20 years now. And so coming to Mexico was honestly, that was the feel like a dream that was realized, right? So for a decade, I had wanted to live in a different country, but I didn't know how to make it happen. Everybody that I knew either taught English, taught math, or did Peace Corps. And I knew I wasn't doing none of that. And so
Right.
I feel like I was waiting for technology to show up or for something to happen. But I just didn't know what that was. And so when I came to Mexico in 2008, I had just gotten laid off. I was unemployed. I had, I didn't have a lot saved up. I had a severance package and I knew that I was going to get 6 months of unemployment. And I assumed that I would come here and I would grow my coaching business. But what I think Mexico really showed me 8 years ago is all the ways that I wasn't really free. Right. I think, now, especially now, so many people sell the idea of moving abroad. And it seems like it seems like this huge undertaking while you're undertaking it. Right. But coming over, what I realized is buying a ticket is easy. You could buy a ticket. Changing how you've been conditioned to live and to look at life, that's the hard part. And so that has been the work, right? Is really reorienting what is actually real versus what I was taught is real. Right. So for example, I think about one of the biggest things, this idea, you need a 6 or 7 figure business, right? This idea of rich. When we talk about rich in the US, rich only refers to money. It doesn't talk about health. It doesn't talk about your relationships, your
spiritually
your
rich.
Spirit, right? Do you have friends? Do your family like you? Are you surrounded by people who encourage you? Right? Like there's so many more. Do you have hobbies? Do you do things you enjoy? Right? Or is everything you're doing about money? Like there's so much more to, do you feel like you're doing your purpose? Right? Like there's so much more to life than just making money. But the US, because it's one of the largest marketing machines in the world, right? They've marketed these ideas and we're surrounded by these ideas that there's only one way to be rich. There's only one way to have wealth. And so most of us spend our entire lives chasing after this one way. And then on my side, I've been on the other side. So I meet people who have the epitome of wealth, so-called wealth, the financial aspect, and they're not happy.
You know what? You took the words out of my mouth. I was like, I knew you were going to say that.
They're not happy. They're not emotionally well. They don't have, friends or friends that they can trust, or, they're now focusing on something else that they hate about them. You know what I mean? It's just about themselves. Like there's just so many more things. So like I said, the conditioning is the hard part. Changing what we've been conditioned to believe and what we know. And I watch a lot of people who move to the little beach town that I live in, and they struggle with that, right? Struggle with changing their perspective. Like right now I'm dealing with, grief, and I'm processing it. It's just a process, right? Like there's no shortcuts. There's no microwave. There's no, go through the drive-through. It just is. You're going to deal with it. And, for as long as you do, and you probably just going to put it in your back pocket and take it with you as you go through life. But I'm just so grateful that one of the greatest gifts that I kind of acquired before I came here was learning. I remember hearing crystal clear in my ear, is it as clear as I'm talking to you, that I was supposed to study indigenous healing traditions. I didn't even know what that meant. And I wasn't sure why I needed to study them, right? And I spent a year living out of my backpack, traveling. I went to Belize for 2 months. I slept on my yoga teacher's floor. I studied herbalism and metaphysics, and then I studied Black metaphysics, right? So traditional African religion, all of these things. And I'm like, I don't really know why I'm supposed to study. And now I realize, right, the reason for that is because most of us have a lot of information, and we think that having the information is going to magically heal or save us. And the truth is, the information isn't giving what it was supposed to give, right? As the young folks say, the information, just acquiring information is like having a full library. But if you don't open the book, number one, if you don't actually apply what you read about, it does nothing. You've just got all these words. Laughing. And so that's what I realized. That's what indigenous traditions were all about. In the West, we value words and book knowledge and degrees and certifications. But in indigenous communities, no, it's the practice. You got to acquire years of practicing what you know. And your test is not on a piece of paper. Your test is, okay, go out and do this thing.
You know what? This is, I don't know if you listen to Ralph Smart. I love Ralph Smart of Infinite Waters. And he talks about nothing is a coincidence. This is not a coincidence that we are connecting at this time. Like, was a perfect time for our connection. It wasn't back then. It's now. I read some of your bio or some of the things that you master in, and one of them was human design, which I just talked with a coach out there in Mexico. I don't know if you know her, Low Key Nadia. She gave me the whole rundown on what mine was.
Okay, Low Key Nadia does holistic marketing, right?
I gotta give applause for her. Yes, that Low Key Nadia. We connected through Sunny Speaks, because I had Sunny Speaks on the show. She's vegan, and she got.
Yes, I was gonna say Sunny Speaks vegan. Yeah.
So she really, and I love her spirit, and she's in Mexico. And I say human design, and once I figured all of that out, I was like, whoa, everybody needs to know this. So what I'm going to ask you is, when did you realize your true purpose, and how? And if you can touch on that whole human design and what is yours, because people need to know that. Because if people know it early, then they'll know how to coach their damn self.
So interestingly enough, I got introduced to human design. I think it was 2017 when I had my first reading, but it was in 2019 that I took my first class in Bali, actually. And it was maybe 2 years ago where I finished the certification. So in human design, they talk about having a 7-year experiment where you experiment with your design. Those who are listening who may not necessarily be as well-versed in human design, the whole idea is that we were born at a time, and at the exact time that we were born, the planets were in a particular position. And in the exact time, the exact location, right, there are certain things that were in alignment for you and who you are and who you're meant to be. Now, I'm a projector, ironically, which aligns with coaching.
My mom's a projector too.
Yeah, right. They talk about projectors as being the advisors of right.
Yeah.
And so helping everyone else understand how to use their energy in the most efficient and effective way possible without burning out. Right. So that's essentially.
You want to know who I am? I'm a manifesting generator. So just imagine.
Okay. All right. So you get it done, right? You make things happen. You speak it and it is. You are in that space where you able to get things done and you able to talk about it. And so the thing, so you have to tell people where y'all going, where we going, where the train is going, because you say it and boom, you out. Yeah. And so absolutely. Yep, I get it. right? So your challenge is making sure that everybody know where we're going, so they can be on. We can all be on one accord. Like, so yeah, I get it. So it looks like you are handling your challenge as well. Thank you for sending me the questions over. So ironically, human design, even though the lady, she gave me a bunch of words, but I was completely confused and overwhelmed. And
Yes.
when I took the class, again, 3 days of overwhelm. I'm like, what the hell does all this mean? And it was only when I decided I enrolled in a human design business program, again, overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't understand why all these people seem to think that you giving me a gang of information is going to help me figure it out. And so I've had human design readings one-on-one. And it was only until when I began, number one, when I pursued a certification so that I could give people readings so that I could work with it with my clients, that I then was able to identify, okay, what's the most important thing my clients need to know? And then I could transition what I thought was important for my clients to then understand what was important for me, and then bring all of those pieces together, right? Because the human design it's just a lot of information.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember this. When I was a kid, there were these at the book fair, Scholastic Book Club, and they had these books that you would open, and it would be an image. And if you crossed your eyes and uncrossed them really slowly, you'd see an image pop out from the image. That's what I realized. That's what I was able to do with my human design. Is I was able, not necessarily cross my eyes, but I was able, once I didn't have like a book full of information, and I was able to put the most important parts on a single page, it was almost like bring my vision in and bring my vision out to understand how all these parts work together. And what exactly is it that what am I here for? I knew that I was here to empower and motivate and encourage and inspire. But I'm like, yeah, but I need people to do the work, right? Motivating, encouraging, and inspiring is nice, but let's work together, right? All these coach certifications, I've trained in all of these things, right? Like I said, I studied all of these, been through all these rituals, and everything that I've gone through have all come to the same thing. You're here to support others in getting the most use out of their energy so that they're not burning out.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. I was listening to Ralph Smart. Ralph Smart actually from Infinite Waters actually helped me through the pandemic because, I've had anxiety since I was, in my early 20s and so I needed something to ground me, and he did an incredible job, and I still listen to him periodically today. And the one thing that stood out that he said was, how will you help 1 million people do what they need to do? Because it's not always about you. How you help 1 million people, make money or whatever it is that they're looking to do. That's how, you're going to, get what you need. Because we're living in a very selfish taking society, which you talked a little bit about it earlier, a lot of pulling of energies and stuff. Everyone's taking, and a small group of people are giving to the point of just being depleted of all the resources that they can give. But when I heard that, I said, oh, this is a different way of looking at it. And then with the human design and the manifested generator and the enthusiasts, because it went down into all this stuff and I identified that I'm an enthusiast, this was lifting my spirits, and I'm still trying to figure out how to, work all of this and apply it.
Yeah.
How do I coach my damn self? What are your tips you can share? Like, what do I do? What do people need to be doing right now? After this call.
So here's, I'm a fan, as you know, right? Like I wrote this book, Coach Your Damn Self. And at the time when I wrote it, what I knew for sure is that people needed to know how to not just coach themselves, but they needed to trust themselves, right? They needed a way to tap into their deeper knowing in order to do what they've been called to do. So when it comes to human design, like I said, like you've mentioned, it's a lot of information. And if you're not careful, it's really tempting to try to take in all of the information all at once. But what I'm a fan of is something called the technical term is titration, but that just means one step at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And so with most things, we are used to trying to do all the things or none of the things, right? The US has trained us to do this all or nothing type of thing. And so what I believe is just start. It doesn't matter, right? Like I know the concern is, but what if I start in the wrong place? There's no such thing.
Right.
Right. And you won't know that there's no such thing until you're on the other side and you realize it didn't matter where you started. The point is that you start. So start wherever you want. Right. I'm a fan of starting with what feels good in your body. Right. What excites you? What makes you feel good? Start there. Most of us have been so trained away from paying attention to our bodies that we live in our minds and we focus on what we think. And so it is a reconditioning to come into our bodies. I saw you just posted the link for Choose Yourself Weekend.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. Right. So Juneteenth weekend, I'm hosting a 3-day event for those who have read all the books, right? You've been to therapy, you've done the healing work, right? You've been working on yourself. You've been secretly, silently judging and criticizing yourself, right? For not doing the things, not so-called being disciplined, which I hate that word, or consistent, another word I hate. I think both of those are useless. And part of it is because it disconnects us from our bodies. This idea of consistency and discipline forces you to go against what your body is telling you. Most of us are not consistent or disciplined, so-called, because we're doing things that don't feel good. Right. And so the weekend of Juneteenth, I'm calling it Choose Yourself Weekend. It's time to practice the things that you have learned about. And so we're practicing some of the, like I said, the things that I have learned that have been the most helpful as I go through my current journey, but also that things that have helped me to tap back into my body as I've done some of the scariest things in my life, right? Leaving the country that I was born in.
Yeah.
Right? Going to Asia for 4 months, right? Going to a place where I couldn't read the street signs, walking down the street because they're not using the same letters, right? Like,
and a woman, being a woman, a black talk. Let me tell you something. Like you got to touch on a lot of stuff because I just was in a presentation where they talked about patriarchy and how they treat women, oversee and all of that. Yeah, they make it interesting,
right? Because we hear all of these things, the assumption is that they're true. We assume that everything that we hear is true. And we assume that truth only exists in one way. There are multiple truths that exist, and your truth, just because your truth is different from my truth, doesn't make your experience any less valid. But but most of us, we don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to hold the idea that two experiences can be happening at the exact same time. So right. A lot of people talk about their experience in Asia. And that has been, I think, eye-opening for me, because a lot of times the negative experiences that people have, for whatever reason, I don't have those, right? Knock on wood. Whatever their negative experience is, I can go to the exact same place and not have the experience that another person has. I don't know what that is. or why that is, but it has forced me to be aware that, yeah, there's multiple realities happening all at the same time. And so, Juneteenth weekend, Choose Yourself weekend, I'm inviting those who are listening, right, to choose yourself, to come and practice and embody some of the things that you've been learning about. What I know, and I think I'm sure your listeners know as well, there's a difference between understanding intellectually this idea of healing and actually holding and having and embodying healing in your body. Those are two
Right.
different things.
Yes.
And so weekend of Juneteenth, we are going to do more of the second and a little bit of the first. But like I said, I think your understanding is complete. Now it's time to embody it.
Yeah, I'm going to register for this, absolutely. Now that I know that you have this, because like I said, this reconnection over a decade plus with you is not a coincidence. It is intentional, and timing is always of the timing. Timing is going to tell you what needs to be done, and the little voice in your ear that says move forward with this. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
I love
What
it.
is your call? I mean, I've had you on here like beyond, the time, because we can talk for a whole nother hour, because there's a lot of things we need to catch up on. What is your call to action? What is the number one thing that you want the listeners, the viewers, whoever's going to watch the replay, to hear from you that they need to be doing right now, today, on their way to coaching your damn self? And I wanted to ask the question, do people really need coaches? I mean, because some people really do. And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that the coach you choose should be aligned with you choosing yourself, right? For a decade, for the past 10 years, I've had so many different types of therapists, right? I've worked with tons of different types of therapists, but I cannot tell you a single tool that a therapist has given me. Yes, therapy is helpful, but it has largely made me dependent on the therapist. So I need to go back. And that is nothing against the therapists, right? Themselves, because we were all trained in a system to create dependence. And we think that that a person's dependency is what creates wealth for us. As long as I have a lifetime customer, right? And so all of our training creates lifetime customers. It's not their fault. What I think is so important is recognizing that that's the case, right? And identifying, how do you become independent? Yes, we know that community is helpful, but what I have found is, when I'm able to first begin filling my cup part of the way, right? Because there's some parts of the cup that only I can reach. And as long as I'm trying to depend on other people to reach them, my cup will never be full, right? I'm trying to help you to help me so that I can. So start with choosing yourself. How do you begin choosing yourself today? What's one thing you can do to choose you?
I love that. What is one thing that you can do today to choose you?
Yeah.
I love it. I had my husband pick up my daughter from school because I said I was not doing this live on the road. Sometimes I do it. I said, no, this is me time, me with Coach Tish.
I love
and
it.
I'm going to do it right in this setting right here where I'm comfortable, not all hectic, trying to figure out, we got to jump off at this. I got to get my daughter. So you already know it's an action. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to pick her up. We have to stay connected, you and I, and everyone listening. Where can they follow you and tap into you? Because everybody listening have to know about you. I'm sending this to my folks in Africa and all across the world. Like, how do they connect with you? And besides, you got to choose yourself weekend and make sure you're there and registered at natishawillis.com/choose you, making sure they're doing that.
Yeah. So connect with me on Instagram. That's my favorite platform. I'm at Coach Tish on Instagram. I love threads. I be trying to, bust heads on threads, but you get my
I'm gonna share your Instagram. I'm sharing it right now.
well,
Make sure
you
they
know,
have all of that.
Coach Tish on Instagram, on threads, and on LinkedIn. Connect with me on any of those platforms.
All right, I'm gonna put that up there. It has been such a pleasure. I just want to make sure I put that Instagram Coach Tish in the comments. Follow Coach Tish. This is not the last time you're going to be hearing or seeing me, Coach, because I've been trying to track you down. Trust me, and now I got you. I got you.
Well, I'm here. I appreciate you for having me on. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And again, sending prayers and blessings to you and your family. And again, my condolences on the passing of your father. And yeah, stay connected. You have me as a friend. You know that. And I'm looking forward to getting over there to Mexico and connect, like really getting into over there to Mexico, me and Greg, and just chilling with you because,
not Cancun, not Tulum, Playa del Carmen. So if you come, let me know. I'll make sure.
I think I wasn't at Playa. I went to Costa Maya and then I went to Yucatan, Progreso.
Yeah.
But that's for the cruise. You stay, I want to go. And then we went to Belize last year. I want to go and really, I got to take Greg because it was me and my daughter enjoyed it. And my sister. When we come, we gonna definitely like, Natisha, where you at?
Yes.
Absolutely. Awesome. Folks, Coach Tish, coach your damn self. Please follow Coach Tish at Coach Tish. Sign up for the Choose Yourself weekend. It's in the comments. And, whatever you decide to do this weekend, please be safe, number one, and be well and be rich, spiritually rich. Okay?
Yeah.
Coach your damn self. All right.
Thank you.
Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are. On their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are earth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.
Bringing us back on.